آه طيب oh I don't know what's going on here. Today we have our second Arabic brown bag. I have been trying to get our guest speaker from I think the second or third week of the semester, but our speaker is very busy. He's graduating next semester. One of the reasons why I have our guest today is our guest is one of the very first people who believed in the Arabic program and the mission of the Arabic program, and they decided to continue learning Arabic, even though they didn't have to take any other levels above elementary Arabic 1 and 2. So our guest speaker, Aman Rahman, is the first student who actually finished 4 levels of Arabic. So we call you our student zero, yeah, Aman. And another reason why I was really trying hard to have you as a guest speaker is the fact that you are you are what I title semi-literate student who you have some exposure to some forms of modern standard Arabic. Correct me if I'm mistaken. And there are many students who share the same background as yours. And I think your experience is really relatable no matter what, but it is more relatable to students who share your background. And I would also like to mention that Aman is one of the best students in our intermediate Arabic too. I would ask a question and everyone would be thinking and, scrambling, but Aman would just calmly give the answer. Just one word or 2 words. So without further ado, we have Aman Rahman.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I will try to, oh, I can't share my screen. So I
Oh,
have a little
you
presentation.
can share it now.
Um, it's not a terribly kind of like involved presentation.
It doesn't
Um,
matter.
but I am, as Estella said, um, I took 4 semesters of Arabic. And so I wanted to kind of talk about like what are the things that Arabic has like allowed me to do as a student so that hopefully like you can get something out of this. So if you have questions, right, I'm going to kind of talk through like the opportunities that I got, so specifically the scholarships and the fellowships that I was able to get. And, I wanted to kind of present like all of the ones that are good for studying Arabic, but I did not have time to compile them. So I will kind of like talk about the ones that I know about. But if there's something that interests you, you guys, you students, um, that I might know about, you can always interrupt me. This isn't a very uh, structured thing. So if you have questions, just kind of let them out. But yeah, so I grew up on Long Island. I went to a Saturday school, the Selden Masjid, the one that's right here. So I learned kind of how to read Arabic in a kind of like rudimentary way through that school because it was only like once a week, so it wasn't a very involved education. My parents also taught me um, kind of the basics when I was a kid, so they taught me, and most of it was through the school, but I learned my letters, I learned pronunciations, diacritics. Um, I didn't really learn tajweed, I didn't learn the grammar rules for Quranic recitation. Um, but I got a little bit of Islamic education. And, that was really important to like who I am as a human now. Um, but when I came to study Arabic here at Stony Brook, it was still challenging. Like I think I had better pronunciation than most people, but I had no vocabulary. Right? I had never learned um, what these things mean. So it was tough. It was very difficult, but I really want to be able to learn Arabic, so I tried to put in this effort, right? I took 4 semesters of it, which doesn't totally do me any good as a student. It doesn't like fulfill requirements. It was really just the interest. But, I think it has been really rewarding. And that's what I want to focus on. Like, it's let me do some cool things. And, I'm not fluent at speaking or um, with Arabic, but I am okay at figuring stuff out. Like I can translate stuff if I need to, right? I can search stuff up and I know enough grammar to like figure stuff out with other resources. Like if I have the internet, if I have a dictionary, um, I can do that, which is important. And that's kind of like the first step to start figuring out how to do stuff on your own. And I was able to kind of get to that level, and I hope to keep getting further. Um, so again, like this is just my background. I'm a double major, so I do health science and English, and I'm currently graduating, or I'm not graduating yet. I'm gonna graduate in the spring. But this is kind of like where I am as a student, which may be different from where you are. But okay. So I'm gonna kind of just go over the awards that I've gotten, not because I want to brag, because it's a useful kind of thing to know about. There are a lot of opportunities at Stony Brook to get money, to do the stuff that you were going to do anyways, and to like kind of do more stuff. And being an Arabic student, that if you're interested in kind of learning Arabic outside of the classroom, like these are ways to do it, right? Studying abroad can be expensive. We have an exchange program here at Stony Brook, I think, with something in Egypt, either American University of Cairo.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
one.
So that's not a super expensive way to study Arabic. I would have done it if I knew about it earlier. It's the kind of thing that you just have to know about and be able to plan around. And so I want you to know about things so that, if it sounds like you meet these eligibility criteria, you can apply, right? Even if you can win more things than you expect. Um, you just have to apply, right? These aren't genius awards. They're scholarships to help you get there. So it might seem like daunting and scary, but um, you just got to do it. And the first step is like knowing about it. Um, I also work for the writing center. I'm a tutor, and so I help people make their applications for programs like this. So that's also kind of why I'm doing it, right? I worked with the Office of External Fellowships this summer to prepare students who are applying for fellowships. So this is kind of the experience I come in with. And if you ever need help like applying to a fellowship like this, while I'm still here, I'm a good person to ask. I always work at the Writing Center. I do this kind of tutoring for these applications specifically. Um, so this is the Eureka Summer Award. They did a little write-up of me for the English newsletter. Um, so this is open to any undergraduate students who have a research project. And if you read the part about me, even if you don't have a research project, you still might be eligible for an award. So I did um, a poetry manuscript. So I did a creative arts a project. But you can do things like, if you have a project related to your major, or even to kind of like, it's tougher with Arabic because you need a research project, right? It's not um, this isn't a travel grant. There are other travel grants that you can do, like um, there's a global grant. I forget what it is, but it's always in the newsletter. It's like Julano, something like that. But this award is for a project. So you have a pitch. My pitch was like, I'm going to write this book of poetry that's going to use these forms. And part of it was kind of from uh, Arabic literature. So one of the way that I kind of described my project as impactful and worth funding. Because ultimately, I just wrote a couple poems, but that's not what I said to the committee. To the committee, I said, I'm going to write these poems that examine how American culture interacts with Muslim American identity through like an exploration of my own life. And I was going to do that on this like formal level. I was going to look at, a very prominent form in English literature, the elegy. And I was going to look at this very prominent form in Arabic literature, or especially like Urdu literature, which is the ghazal. And I was going to write both of these forms and kind of break the forms and mix them together and do interesting formal things to start like commenting and to like build this conversation around like what does it mean to be Muslim American? And so like being able to read Arabic was important for to like get to that project and also to do some of the research of it. Like, I looked at kind of how has the ghazal evolved over time from Arabic into Urdu into English. So having that skill was important to me getting this award. Um, and yeah, you really just need a project proposal and a faculty. Um, they have these deadlines over in spring, in March. Um,
This is an awesome opportunity. Thank you for sharing it. I have been working with a few interns on a few projects. They take the internship, but if they have an opportunity like this is also very good to be on their CV. So
yeah,
yeah, for the Arabic program, I have been offering internships because I'm developing extra interventions. And I've been looking for either native speakers or heritage speakers to help me with these extra interventions. And I have been having interns. And I think this is also very good to have on their CV. So I'm
yeah.
definitely gonna.
No, this is perfect for that. I forgot that you were kind of doing that work, but a lot of the mentored research, like most of these awards are for bio comp sci labs who are
Mhm.
already, doing that research. And then so that they can keep their undergraduate students over the summer, they offer this fellowship. So like exactly like I think you can, if your students are interested in that, you know,
That's a very good idea.
yeah. So Eureka, that's what it's called. It's a very low commitment award once you get it. So it's just a good opportunity. Just apply. It doesn't matter if you get rejected, you just have to apply. And you might get accepted. And that doesn't hurt. It's a great opportunity. The other thing that I did kind of get, and I applied to a lot of things and I don't get most of them. So these two awards are the ones that I got, which is why I'm focusing on them. But you just have to send these things out, right? You just have to ask for money because sometimes they'll give it to you. Um, but I'm focusing on things that I got because of my studies of Arabic. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on for what I've selected. So the other one I have is the Islamic Scholarship Fund. They have scholarships for undergraduate and graduate students in the areas of policy, law, and media. So I got a media award. Usually they give like film grants, but again, I got a grant for my poetry. Um, I guess I got a scholarship for my poetry. And so I sent them again my application, and I was like, I study Arabic in school. I'm doing these things with form. I have these other projects that I'm working on. Um, they have a really long application, and I also think they're always growing. So the Islamic Scholar giving more and more money each year just because they're getting more. I think this is kind of limited to only students who are Muslim um, and projects that are related to like Muslim American identity. I think their whole platform is like advancing representation of Muslim Americans in the US. So if that's something that you're interested in through again like pursuing law or policy or media journalism is another thing they focus on, then you can just kind of apply to this and do that work that you were interested in anyways. Um, I had to write an essay and get letters of recommendation, and I also had to like film a video of me explaining my project. But I got an interview. I talked to these Muslim Americans who were also writers about my project, and I got the scholarship. It's actually a really nice one because it is this network of, professionals like me doing the same kind of work that I'm doing. And so it's been really nice to have this network. I get a lot of job offers from them, like not job offers, but like job postings of things that are relevant to me, just because they have this network and they send emails to each other, and it's very helpful. Um, so this is another thing that like, you don't know about until you know about. I found out about the Islamic Scholarship Fund because a writer that I know got an award, and I was like, oh, maybe I can do it too. Um, I am the person telling you like you can do it too. You can just apply and see if you can apply for if you match their eligibility, if you can get some funding. So I did not get a Fulbright award. I'm applying for a Fulbright this year, and I also do tutoring for the Fulbright Awards. So these are particularly good for graduating seniors. So I'm applying to do research in the UK, but if you want to be an English teaching assistant, they have locations all around the world. I think this year they had a couple, they had like four or maybe eight placements in Jordan. I don't know what other countries they had this year, but it always changes. And they always have kind of Arabic speaking countries. Um, so, your job primarily is to teach English, but it's often in classrooms with, uh, it depends on the level, right? There's high school, middle school, elementary, and even college aged positions. So sometimes you'll be with students who have no grasp of English. Sometimes in like university settings, their English is pretty good. Um, but regardless, while even though your kind of primary job is to do this English teaching, you will have to learn Arabic, and you'll learn Arabic a lot faster than you would anywhere else. And so it's a good program, the English teaching specifically. Um, if you want to spend more time learning a language, and you can also apply for graduate degrees. So I'm applying for a graduate degree in the UK. You can apply to graduate degrees all over the world. So again, if you want to study in the Arab world, you can. You can get funded for it, right? They cover tuition. They give you a small stipend. Um, so it's like kind of livable, and yeah, they'll cover your studies, which is kind of the biggest part. So this is another thing where if you're interested about it, um, you kind of have to know about it early. So we have a campus program where we prepare students to apply just because it's a very intense application process. Um, so you go to the external fellowships website at Stony Brook, and you say like you kind of reach out to the people who work in external fellowships. So Ashley Staples and Vernon Caldwell are the people who run that department. And you have to email them and say, like, I want to apply for this award, and they'll send you the resources to do that. So you have to kind of declare interest in the spring, work on your application over the summer. I spent my summer helping people with their applications, and then you submit those applications in the fall of your senior year so that you can study the year after. So again, it's kind of hard to plan these things out in advance, but if this is the kind of thing that sounds really exciting to you, um, find those people, right? Find the external affairs office. And, if you have trouble finding them, find me. And like you have to network. We have to we can get you there. You have to know about these things, and you have to start talking to people about them. So it's a good opportunity, difficult, but you can do it too. The English Teaching Awards, especially, there's a lot of them. They're all over the world. So if you're interested in Arabic speaking countries, there's a good chance you can do that, and that there's funding for you there. I actually don't know anything about the foreign language and area studies program. I was going to do this research because this is another kind of way to study Arabic. But they have these early deadlines. And again, like you have to contact the Office of External Fellowships here at Stony Brook. Again, Ashley Stables, Vernon Caldwell. they're great people and they're working all the time to kind of expand how many people are applying for these fellowships. But it's an inherently kind of gatekeeping system, right? Fellowships like this require institutional approval. And so it's hard. They make it hard for you because they don't money, I guess. So you have to seek it out. And, you are qualified to do it. All of you are kind of, if you're a student, if you're serious about what you want to do, you can do this kind of thing. It's just a hard process to navigate. So knowing that it exists, that it has a February deadline, that again, you can talk to Ashley Staples and Vernon Caldwell in the Office of External Fellowships, and they will help you apply to it. Um, that's how you make it happen. And you just kind of have to be proactive. I have an Excel spreadsheet where I keep track of things that I want to apply to, and that's how I get them, right? It's not that I'm an incredible candidate that is much more competitive than anyone else. Um, I want to believe that, but I don't think that's true. I just apply to a lot of things and I keep track of them and I have a list of them, and I meet the deadlines. And that means, I've gotten more opportunities than most people, because I'm lucky. I have these connections already. I've been working in the space, so I know about the things. Um, so know about the things, tell other people, apply to them. Yeah. And yeah, this is another cool thing. So I just got this in the mail, got this book. Um, so this is an Arab American literary journal. They're based in somewhere in the Twin Cities. So I told you about this Ustada, but they published one of my poems. It took a while, I just got it in the mail like yesterday. But that part of it was because I was an Arabic student. I sent them a cover letter and I said like, "Hey, I'm not Arab American. I have no I have no Arab ancestry, but I do study it, and I am interested in kind of Muslim Americans broadly. So I have these poems." And they said, "Okay, that's good enough," and they published me. And it's a really good opportunity. Again, like, you know, I have very niche interests. I'm very invested in the poetry scene. And so like the people who are published in this journal are like among the leaders of poetry in the United States, which if you don't know about poetry means nothing. But if you're like me and you know a lot about poetry, this is an incredible achievement. I'm with some of the biggest writers, um, in the world right now. And so like again, like knowing that it exists, Mizna is, you have to find your scene. My scene is poetry, and so I kind of talk to people in that space and they say like, oh, you should apply to Mizna, or oh, you should apply to Kundiman. If your space is like, I don't know, computer engineering, you just got to talk to computer engineers and say like, hey, I'm interested in these things. And the overlaps, right? The places where your interests converge are probably going to be the best places. Because the more specific you get, the more likely you are to get noticed. And so looking not at poetry in general, but at like very specifically Muslim American poetry, Arab American poetry, those are the places where people have recognized me and I've started to like make a name for myself. So find your corners, right? Find the places, the intersections, that make you excited about what you want to do. And also like the people that you want to be surrounded with, right? I want to be surrounded with these people. This issue is kind of devoted to like, how do you witness violence, right? It's called catastrophe. And what do you do with that? How do you respond to it or witness it? And so there's these very thoughtful writers thinking about kind of tragedy and living with it. And those are people that I want to talk to, right? I don't want to talk to other people. This is my space. So being an Arabic student, right, meeting the other students in the intermediate class, like that's part of finding your space and making those connections that again, like both allow you to do what you want to do professionally, but also sustain you personally, right? The people you want to be around, the people that you like sharing space with. Um, Arabic has been useful and for me to find those things. So yeah, I don't know what time is it because I added this section.
It's fine. You can go ahead. We have until 1:35.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I don't really know how to fill. I don't have that much to say. So I thought like, okay, I have some useful things to say about finding opportunities at Stony Brook. Um, but that's not going to take up the whole time. So I have, again, like my other job is being a writing tutor. So I was like, okay, let me copy and paste the slides that I present to other classes so that I can fill time if I need to. Um, does anyone want to talk about or have something to say or have questions about scholarships or fellowships before I just keep going?
I think whatever you're talking about is very interesting and it's very relevant because it's very difficult to find like scholarships. I think most of students' experiences is about like exchange programs, which are a little bit more expensive. I think we have one of the students here who actually went to Egypt in an exchange program, but I don't really think she was able to take Arabic courses. We have Layla. Layla says she has a question. Layla, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
I wasn't saying I had a question. I was saying it is useful. Sorry.
طيب
It's
يا ليلى.
useful.
I think for the most part, students do know about exchange programs, but these opportunities, especially the last one, I used to work in Urbana-Champaign, and we used to have representatives. That they had a small office for FLAS applications in,
Wow.
in University of Illinois, and it was really crazy. They would come to our classes with brochures, with flyers. Oh, please apply. Asma has a question. Asma, you can unmute yourself if you want.
Hello. I was just for the Eureka Summer Award. Is that limited to studying in Arab speaking countries?
No. So the Eureka Award is just for Stony Brook students. You have to be a continuing student. So I can apply for a Eureka Award because I'm graduating in the spring. And what that award is for is to fund research and creative activities, right? I write poetry, it's a creative activity. It funds research at Stony Brook University. So the requirement is that you have a faculty mentor. For me, my project, right? My project, I don't have a PI, I'm not working under someone else. So my faculty mentor was just an advisor for people who are doing projects in other disciplines, like the majority of people who receive Eureka Awards are biology students who are working in a lab. And so their work is already pretty structured. They have a mentor who is a principal investigator. So that award can be for any kind of research in any discipline. You just need a faculty member here at Stony Brook, um, and you have to be a continuing student. Those are the requirements.
Anud has a question. Anud, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, Aman. Thank you so much for presenting. I wanted to ask because I'm really interested in the work you're doing. I also love poetry, and I think I saw like Mahmoud Darwish as like one
Yeah.
of your influencers, so I love him as a writer too. So is your work like published anywhere that we can maybe take a look, or like the manuscript that you said you had created, basically?
You didn't see his name on that, Mizna?
Well, Mahmoud Darwish's name is also, I think, on the
Yes,
main
it
page.
is. And I was asking myself, he's
Like,
dead.
how did he do that?
Yeah.
It is, but it's a translated work. Someone retranslated one of his things. Um, but yeah, that's a very sweet question. I'm glad you like poetry. Um, Yeah, that makes that's I'm happy to hear that, earnestly all the time. When I hear that, it makes me happy. Um, I don't know if a lot of my work is online. So I am published. I'm published in right now 4 journals, and I'm gonna be I have a couple more publications that are coming out in the spring. But the vast majority of my work is in print. So it's not like posted online. I could like post it online, but I just haven't yet. Um, so I don't, it's not really out there. You can email me and I can send it to you. My email is just my name, aman.rahman@stonybrook.edu. So I can send you stuff if you really want to read my work. If you Google my name, you can usually find like the stuff that is online. I think it's like one poem. Um, there's maybe uh, my Instagram page has like pictures of the poems that I published in print online. So yeah, the only way you can really read my work is by talking to me. Um, but inshallah in the future, I will keep writing and I'll keep getting published and it'll increasingly be online. Um, yeah, but right now there's no real place to look for it. So sorry.
No, thank you so much. I'll definitely reach out.
Okay, yeah, just email me. I'll put my email in the thing.
Thank you, Sarah. Does anyone have any questions for Aman? Oh, thank you for sharing that email. Aman, could you please share Ashley's email?
Yeah, it's also just her name.
Plus is
Email.
very elaborative. And there are so many documents to submit for FLAS. I remember. But Fulbright is a very good opportunity.
Yeah,
So
hopefully it is a similarly just kind of like difficult process to get through. But it's because it's a great opportunity.
yes. Does anyone have any other question for Aman?
Let me just send the website for the External Fellowships and Scholarships Office. Again, they're like really nice people. Yeah, sorry.
I had missed just the first bit of your presentation, but I did find everything you said really interesting. I didn't know that there were so many options to apply to for scholarship opportunities. But I was really interested in what you had to say about Eureka for sure. I've heard about it before, but I didn't know that that was something that you could apply to, um, kind of externally or pre-research. So, I think I missed a little bit of that. Do you think maybe you could just tell me a little bit about how you came to apply or how you did that or so on?
Yeah. And I appreciate that too, right? That's why I wanted to say all these things. Eureka, I didn't think I qualified for a Eureka award because I don't do faculty mentored research. I work in the humanities. All of my stuff is kind of stuff I do alone, that isn't kind of part of a bigger project. And so, I didn't think I qualified for it, but they are, there's a committee that selects people to win the awards, and they are interested in a breadth of research. And so often they get more people from chemistry and biology because it's already so structured, because they already have those mentored relationships, and their mentors reach out to them and say, hey, this thing exists, you can do it. Whereas those in the humanities, um, just because it's less structured for undergraduate research. Um, so again, like what you have to do if you want to do a Eureka Award is find a faculty mentor, someone to work with. Or you should find a project first, right? What do you want to research? What are you doing? If you don't already have a project that you're working with someone else on. And so the way the application works, and this is for a summer of research. So everyone gets $5,000. If you don't, um, I live locally. And so if you dorm at Stony Brook, $5,000 covers housing for a summer, and maybe most of your food. it's not going to go much further than that. But for me, I got $5,000, um, and I didn't have to work full time. I worked part time, and I was able to focus on my research. So it's a great opportunity for summer research. Again, it's a summer award. I think they have things during the semester, but they're different in scope, and I don't think it's as much money. Um, but the way the application is structured is you write this kind of, I think my proposal was 2 pages. So my proposal was I'm going to write this poetry manuscript. I'm going to do it in these ways. I'm going to have this timeline. I'm going to have these deliverables. And, I have this experience to show that I'm capable of this project. And so, I've already published a lot of stuff. And so I had a really strong case. But that project proposal is about making your case, right? I am qualified. I know what I'm doing. I have a timeline. Um, and I'm going to do this project, whether you fund it or not, right? That's the kind of impression you want to give. And then you get your letter from your instructor, and you give a personal statement about your background, and then they, decide whether or not to give you the award. It might sound scary to have a project proposal, right? In fact, like you probably shouldn't know exactly what you're going to do if you're doing a creative project. And so I made all of it up, right? I didn't, you know, write a cultural critique of Arab forms and English forms. That's not how you make art. But I did kind of sell this vision of like I'm doing an important thing, and I am doing an important thing. I believe that. But I used the language of kind of like what they're looking for, which is kind of making contributions to a field. I'm doing something new. I'm doing something important. I'm doing something that I am qualified for. And then, the timeline stuff too, I also made it up, right? I didn't stick to that timeline. Um, I kind of asked the faculty mentor that I have, like, she sent me one of her kind of previous grant applications, and so I stole her timeline. I was like, okay, if she did that in a month, like I'll just divide it into months. So like a lot of proposal writing is making stuff up, and that's okay. If you want to learn how to make stuff up well and convincingly, come to the writing center. That's what I do. You start with the ideas of like what you want to do, and then these applications, they're about proving that you're qualified and giving the impression that your work is substantive. Um, your work probably is substantive, and like you can believe that. Um, but the proposal writing, it's an administrative task, right? It's a little separate from the work you're doing. So you just have to get into this weird mindset of I'm applying for money.
Yes. And
Right, for
Anud says she has something to say. Anud.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned how like, these opportunities aren't so widely talked about. I'm like a GLI major, and I'm so surprised how like fellowships and scholarships like this don't really get told to students as much. It's usually like in a letter, and it'll be like in a fine print that you'll end up finding out about like years later where you're like about to graduate. So I'm also trying to graduate in the spring, so I don't think I can apply to Eureka, but it is a really great opportunity, and I hope more students apply. There's also like a women's leadership council that Stony Brook has, which I also didn't know about until my senior year, but they accept like sophomores to apply. So if you're a sophomore, you can apply to that. And another opportunity to get money to like facilitate a project idea is like the contribution project, which I applied to. It's hosted through Cornell University, and they like take applications from like Stony Brook, Bing, and like other schools, NYU as well. So I also submitted like a project proposal for like starting an initiative on campus, like in an international law society, and was able to get the money for funding because clubs in their first year don't really get as much funding. So, because you have to be like an active club for two semesters before doing so. So, I was able to get that. And then on top of it, they also invite you to Cornell for a showcase, and you get to connect and meet with people and talk about your experiences. And like learn from other people as well. So that was also a really great opportunity. And I got to meet with so many people from Cornell and make connections and everything. So, and it's a beautiful campus. Like it's in Ithaca, which is like really far off, but it's so pretty and it kind of looks like Hogwarts a little bit. Like it's really nice,
Yeah.
but it's also a great opportunity. And I didn't know about that until like I found an email or like a friend kind of suggested it to me because she knew about the thing that I wanted to start. But yeah, that's also something I wanted to put out there.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, right? Like, you should check your emails. Like, that's how a lot of this stuff is spread too, which is annoying. But they do send it out. And congratulations, right? Kind of two successes embedded in that, right? The first one is like congratulate yourself for like applying to something. Like it's a lot of hard work, and you have to put this kind of like confidence in yourself to put it out there and to like open yourself up to that rejection. And then that second congratulations of like getting it. That's great. Yeah, good for you.
Awesome work. And thank you so much for everyone's, Anu, thank you so much for sharing the opportunities with us. Aman, thank you for sharing the link to the external awards. Let me copy it and send it to you later.
Yeah, the Edward Giuliano Fellowship, that's the other one I was thinking about of it's a global fellowship, so it funds travel. They have things during the semester and then they have summer awards for wherever you want to go to do a thing. They'll give you a bit of money to do it.
That is really good. Aman, it's I have always wanted to invite you back to our small program. Thank you so much for your contribution. You are a valuable student, and it was a pleasure being a part of your journey. I really hope to see you somewhere before you go. And we want to say congratulations to you before you graduate, inshallah.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll be around in the spring.
Inshallah. I will
If you
see you
need
soon,
another
Rahman.
if you
Yes,
need another brown bag, I'll do it too. This one went really well, I think.
yeah, it
I
was.
got something out of it, which I was worried about.
Thank you so much, Aman. I truly appreciate